Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced, and this is going to be the first in a series of videos where we're going to build a mini application to show you how to do authorization with JSON Web Token. Okay, and just to kind of illustrate sort of why that matters, or what's the difference between JSON Web Token versus using something like sessions. The difference is sort of where does the authorization happen, or where is the proof that you're logged in exists. So when you're using sessions, the proof that you are logged in or the proof that this data persists and exists is on the server, okay? Which is fine for a multi-page application because you're contacting one server with every request. So every time, and actually this goes for any application that only interacts with really one server, because that one server is able to authenticate, yes, I have in my session cookie that you are logged in. But nowadays, you have more of a dynamic where applications aren't just one application. There's several smaller applications, several small backend applications, several small front-end applications, in what's generally referred to as microservices. But people don't want to log into 10 little applications that make up your grander application. So there has to be a way to keep track that you're authorized, that you're logged in and authorized to access these different parts of the application, these different backend applications, these different front-end applications. And this is where the JSON Web Token comes into play. Because what it does, it gives a way for the client to sort of prove authorization by being given this token. Okay, always the issue with giving data to the client side is that it's visible. Okay, and this is the reason why you oftentimes, even if you don't handle your database through your server, you still have a server to hide a lot of tokens and API keys and stuff like that. So what JSON Web Token does is says it takes this information that would normally be stored in your session on a server and kind of encrypts it and then signs it, kind of like if you had a signature on at the end of a document proving that you signed it. That's based on around a secret keyword that you put in, a secret. Now, any application that runs that token through the JWT function can verify it. But when you verify, you have to tell it, we're looking for a token that has this signature, that has this string as its signature. So if the string doesn't match, then we know, okay, this isn't a token that's for this. And that's how it works. So even though this token may have been generated by one backend application, another backend application can still use it, long as they both use the same secret key for the signature. And that's sort of the premise. So we'll see how that all plays out. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of an explanation before we actually start building an app. So let me close all these pages. This is for something else. Okay, create a new folder. We'll call this full stack JWT, because over these videos we'll build a back and a front. And first what we're going to do is create a back end folder. So I'm just going to open up a terminal in here. Open in terminal. Okay, so that way I'm in this folder. And what I've done is I have created a bash script. You can also create scripts with Node or whatnot, but what this script allows me to spin up an Express project pretty quickly. So if you want to know how I created this, watch my video on bash scripting that I posted a few days ago. But essentially it's just called Expresso. Okay, I just type in the command Expresso and the name of the folder I want. So we're going to call this full stack I'll just do it lowercase, full stack oh actually no, I want to call this backend. Okay, and watch what happens. See, it's already creating a folder called backend, already created my .env file, my .ignore file, my server.js. It's doing the npm install, it's just doing it all for me. I just like showing that off because I was pretty happy with how that turned out. And see, my .env already has, well, not yet, but it will. There you go. See, my .getignore has the right stuff in there. Cool. And while I'm at it, let me actually just put some stuff in my .env we're going to need. We're going to need a port, so we're going to say port 4000 for the backend. And we're going to need a secret. So my secret will be green eggs and ham. That'll be our secret, which we sign our tokens with. You would have something sort of more unique to your application. Okay, and anything else I think I'm going to need right now? And I think that's all I'm going to need for this particular exercise. Now this automatically installs certain dependencies for me, so let's see what it already has. So I got .env and Express, but I still need JSON Web Token. So I'm going to do npmi JSON Web Token. So basically, if you're watching this at home, you would need to go start a folder called Backend, install Express, install .env, install JSON Web Token, which that's the name of the library. It's literally just one word, JSON Web Token. Okay. So you need these 3 libraries for this exercise, at least here in the backend. Good, good, good. Save. And now we're just going to create a server that's going to authenticate. So we'll just create usual stuff. Okay, so first I'm going to load up all my dependencies. So first I'll bring in all my environmental variables. So require .env .config. That's done. Then I want to bring in Express. Const Express equals require Express. And then const app equals, well, actually I'll do that in a separate line. But I also want to bring in JWT. So JWT equals require JSON Web Token. Okay, so we got all that stuff going. Okay, and we have Express. But first let me just show you kind of how JWT works. There's really 2 functions we care about right now. Okay, JWT sign and JWT verify. There are other functions. And then there's going to be other details you can do with these 2 functions. So I recommend reading the JSON Web Token, the node implementations documentation to get more detail with it. But the main thing is to sign and verify, being able to give somebody a token and then be able to check that that token is what it is. Okay, so let's try this out. So we'll say const. So if I wanted to make a token, essentially the way it works is just you would just do const token, and then we'll just say JWT dot sign is the function. That means we're going to sign a token. And the thing is that it's like sessions where you have information inside the token. So first you have to give it the information you want to store in the token. So I'm going to pass in an object, and I'm going to just say in there there's going to be a property called cheese, and it's going to hold a string called Gouda. So that should be the first argument. And then the second argument is the secret. So that would be process.env. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to destructure that stuff, because that's just easier. So const port secret from process.env. That way I don't have to be typing process.env all the time. And I can just be like secret. So what this does, it's going to encode this object, this data. So essentially there's 3 parts to the token. There's the head. The head just kind of tells you like what kind of encryption it is, and because you can actually set what type of encryption it uses to encrypt the token. So that kind of information would be inside the head, and that would tell the JSON Web Token function, okay, so these are the settings for this particular token. Then there's the body, which is this data encoded. And then there's the signature, which is basically the encoded version of this key here. And basically, if the signature doesn't match, it rejects the token. And that's essentially how this works. Okay, so JWT sign, cheese, Gouda, secret, good. So in that case, we should be able to console.log the token afterwards and see what we got. So let's see here. Let me do a node server.js for the moment. Okay, and see we got this token. See, this is the token. It's just a big scrambled bunch of letters. Now what I can do is I can then verify the token. So that should be const, we'll say decoded, we'll call the variable, meaning our decoded token. And it's JWT dot verify. And let me see if I can remember. I think it's first we're passing in the token. then the secret. If not, I'll double check the docs in a while. And then you can do a callback with what you do afterwards, which makes me think that this is synchronous. So I think what I need to do in that situation, well, let's just see what happens. Okay, I think I would get a promise back, but if I just do that, let's see what happens. Okay. Oh, I didn't console log decode it to see what we got. Console.log decoded. Now, if I did this right, that should just be the data we sent in. So we should get back our cheese. Yep, and there it is. Okay. And we just get back our cheese. And now you have the information. Now this piece of information is automatically added. It's an expiration date. So there's a point at this date, which I think the default is half an hour. So this is technically like half an hour from now in seconds, because that's how it works. You know, basically when that, when we hit that time, this token will also get rejected and it won't decode it. So basically it has to have the right signature and it can't have been expired. And you can set custom expiration times and stuff like that. Again, read the JWT verification, but the basic premise idea here is you're going to give somebody the string. So your API will deliver them this string if they have been properly authenticated, and then using that string, it gives them the authorization to access your other routes. Okay. Cool. Now let's see here. Let's start building out our routes. Okay, so we did that. What do I want to do next? Well, we need middleware. I also need my app object. So that would be const app equals express. Okay, there's my app object. That controls all my routes and stuff. Then I need my middleware. I mean, right now the middleware I need is app.use, express.json. I don't think I need anything else. We're not serving any static files. We are not really doing anything else. Okay, cool. So now that's there. Let's create our listener. So app.listen, and we're going to do listen on port, and we are going to then as a callback, console log a little message so we know we're listening. So console.log listening. Oh, let's do that with backticks so we can interpolate. Listening on port. Cool. Okay, so there's our listener. Nice. And yeah, now we just need to create our, I'm going to just create a dummy username. Dummy user. Okay, const user equals username Alex Merced, password okay, cool. So password. Now we just need to make a route that will check our authorization. So our authenticate route. So we'll call this app. This will be should be a post route because we're going to be sending it the username in. So app.post, and it's going to be called login. That's with a slash, and then it's res. Okay, and then we're going to assume that in the body we're going to pass in username and password. So I'm going to destructure that. Const username and password. So any forms will have to have those two names on their fields, or it has to be sent in via JSON or whatever. Okay, username, password, and that's going to be coming from rec.body because that's where the body would be stored. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say if username equals user.username, the username of our dummy user, and it equals and if password equals user.password, our dummy password, then a thing will happen. So again, if you had a database of users, you'd probably first use the username to go find the user in the database, then do this check. That's essentially what would happen. But we only have one user, so there's really no need for that. But if it turns out that the username and password match, that's when we'd sign the token. So we'll say JWT. So JWT dot sign will sign a token, and I'm going to save that token in a variable. Const token equals JWT dot sign, and JWT dot sign is going to be, we're going to pass in the username, okay, in the token. That's it. And then we're going to use the secret to decode the token, or the encode the token, or the sign the token, really. And then we're going to send that back as JSON, res.json the token. So we send back the token as a JSON response. Else, if basically the username did not get verified, so the username and password did not match, then res.send not wrong name or wrong username or password. Okay. Cool. Save. Okay. Now we'll create another route just as an example. I guess first we'll test out this route. So let me open up Postman. It's going to take a little bit. So I'm going to get Postman starting to open up. Postman. There you are, Postman. So meanwhile, I'll start making this route. Actually, first we need to create the middleware. So we need to create our own custom middleware function, our authorize function. This is the function that would check to see if someone is authorized. Okay, and so we'll call this const auth. Again, this is a middleware function, so it has to be passed in rec, res, and next. Okay, again, we're waiting for Postman to open, so we're setting up this function. And essentially what's going to happen is that in the headers of the request, so the request has headers, and they're all stored in the request object under rec.headers. Okay, we want a particular header. Okay, so const authorization. Yep, that should be right. Oh, there's Postman. Should be authorization equals rec.headers. Okay, and the way you send the authorization is always going to look like this. It's going to look like basically the word bearer space and then the token. Okay, that's generally how you do that. So I'm sending, so basically the header is authorization, and then in the value of it is bearer and the token. So that's how we know. So then I need to break that string apart. So what I'm going to do is so first I'm going to do an if, because if the token doesn't exist, I don't want to cause any kind of errors. So we'll first check to make sure that there's a value. So I'm just going to do authorization. And again, if for some reason the authorization header wasn't there, I'm going to get an undefined, which is going to evaluate as false. So in that case, I would just res.send no token. Okay. Cool. And then I would want to, if well, I'm not doing if there. I decode the token, so it'd be const data. Oh no, I actually have to go fish out the token from the string. So we have the token. I mean, we have the authorization header, and what I want to do is do const token equals the authorization, which is a string. We're going to split the string by the space, which is this space right here. So we're going to split it right there, so that way it's first off. So the first piece of the array that comes from that is this, and the second item in the array is this. So then I'm going to take that array and take the second item from that array. Okay, so basically I'm splitting the string and taking the first item from the resulting array, which is the token. Okay. Now that we have the token, we'll do another, now we'll try to verify it. So const result equals JWT verify. So we're verifying it, and we're going to say there's the token that we got out of the header, and there's a secret that it should be signed with to check to see if that's an actual token. Okay, which would give us again that data, the user. So in that case, we want to then add that to the request object for our route. So we'll do rec.user equals result. Okay, so that data that was decoded from our token is now stored in there. And then we move on with our route next. Okay. And I'm just going to add a little console log just to show you what we end up with. Rec.user. Okay. Save. So now that we have this piece of middleware, we can add that to our routes. So we'll add it to our next route, but Postman is open. So let's use Postman. So let me turn on the server. So node daemon server.js. Okay, it's waiting for that to start up. There it's going. It's going. Are you listening? There you go. So let's go over here to 4000. It's going to be a post request. Right now, no authorization tokens. We'll come back to that. So no special headers, because right now we're making the post to authorize ourselves. So we do need this in the body that has JSON data. So that'd be raw here in Postman. Okay, and again, we're sending JSON data, and then we'd have to type in JSON. So that'd be username are the two properties. Username Alex Merced. Password. Pretty sure that's what we did. Let me just double check. Did we do password as password? Yes. Good. So when we send the request to localhost 4000/login, what it should do is receive this, it's going to verify, and then return us a token. So let's see if that happens. And we did not get a response. Wait, there it is. Okay, and there we go. We got a token. Okay, so there is our token. So essentially, if this was the front end, we would save that token somewhere to be used. Okay, be careful. If some people, what they'll do is they'll store the JWT token in local storage. If you do that, be very careful what data you put in there in case somebody else figures out what your secret is and decodes it. You don't have like credit card information or passwords or anything like that in there. So you know, as like anything, whenever you do local storage, always be careful about what you store in there. Okay, cool. So we have our token. Now I'm just going to copy this to, well, actually first, let's make another route. Let's go back to here. And now we're going to do a route that we need authentication for. So we'll do test route. Okay, and we're going to do app.get, because all we're doing is getting data. And this is going to be called /test. And before it goes to the route, it's going to run that auth function that we created up here. So again, It's going to look inside the request, try to find the token, parse it, see if it's authorized. And if it is authorized, then we'll run this function. Okay, and we'll just res.send. It worked! So you'd only get this "it worked" if we were authorized, because it has to get through this function first. If it's not authorized, then you'll get no token. Okay, so that's the deal there. Oh man, I'm tired today. Okay, that's saving. Then I go over here. So localhost 4000 login. Then I go to authorization to do an authorization header. You have to specify. JSON does a lot of the work for you, so you don't actually have to type it out. Like technically, if I wanted to type it out myself, I would just do it over here. I would have to type in authorization, would be the name, and actually I will do that. I'll put it here. Authorization, and then there would be bearer space. I need to copy the token. Control C. Not sure what that means, but looks like there's little functions you can use in Postman. I never really had a need to use that. And that's how it would look like. It would be bearer than the token. And we don't need a body anymore because this is a GET request. We're not sending anything. But in the headers, there has to be the token, or else the auth function will fail. And then this is going to go to our test route now. Get. And could not send request. Huh, something happened to our server? Yes, our server crashed. What happened? Rec.headers. Rec.headers. Why not? Should be request.headers, so it should be right there. This might be because I decided not to put the header, the authorization header, what I would normally put it. So what I'm going to do is take this out of here and see if it makes a difference. If I do it through authorization, the way that bear, you put the token over here, and then you hit send. Still. Okay, let's try. Maybe it was header. So we'll let the server restart. Still complaining. Const authorization equals rec.headers. Rec res. Okay, let's take a look. I must be missing something. Express rec request dot headers. Yeah, it's rec.headers, so that's there. Going app.get login, it goes through auth. Oh, I see what happened. I've been invoking the function. I don't need that there. See what happens when you put the function name there. You're not invoking the function. That's the problem. Auth doesn't return anything. So save. So it's actually trying to access headers when the headers don't exist yet because no requests have come in yet. Got it. So that's what I did wrong there. Okay, always remember when you're putting in your middleware doesn't need parentheses because you're not invoking it in that moment. You're invoking it when the request comes in. Okay, so now this should work. So let's actually, I want to go back and try it the way I was doing it before. So no auth. Let's cut the token. Go there. Headers. Authorization. Let's bring this one back in. Bear. Send. It worked. Yay, it worked. Now if I put in like, let's say I just change like one character. So now it should mess up. Okay, I got an error. Invalid token. See? Cool, 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 cool. Now I should probably handle that a little bit better. So let's improve the handling of that situation. Okay, so let's go back to our authorization middleware. And I'm going to just do another try catch. I'm going to just do a try catch block around this whole thing. Try. Okay. Catch. Error. Res.send. Error. Okay, cool. So that way if there's an error anywhere along, we'll see what the error is. If there's no token, it'll get to here to no token. Otherwise, it'll get verified and move on. So let's test that out. I still have the invalid token in there. Just want to see if it gives me a different response now. And see, now it just tells me error. Okay, oh, I see what I did wrong. I put the string error, not the variable error. I want the details. Save. Let's try that one more time. And there you go. And there it tells you, okay, this is a JSON Web Token error, message invalid token. Cool. So we know it works. Okay, now what we'll do, let me just modify the test route, show you that we got the right payload. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the payload over. So we're going to send over rec. We stored it in rec.user. You can store it in rec.anything. Rec.user. So now when I do this, it should, if I do this right, but I don't have the right key anymore. So I have to go back and get the authorization again. Forgot to write down, keep the key somewhere. So let's go back to post. Let's change this back to login. Okay, and this is the kind of logic you'll program into your front end, that it goes and gets the token or stores the token somewhere and checks to see if this token's stored there. All that fun stuff. Okay, authorization. Login. I don't need the header right now. What I do need is the body again. So let's go back over here. We're going to send that over again. And send that over. Now we got our key. Good. So I'm going to go like save that into a variable or into local storage or both, ideally. Authorization. Actually, let's go back over here. Now I just need to recopy this. So that way it has all the keys. Now if I hit send, I should get authorization. Oh no, I still hadn't changed the route. Test. And this needs to be a get now. Get request, and we don't need a body anymore. I hit send. No token. Ha! Okay, so that is an issue. It didn't give me... The data wasn't signed. What did I put in there? Let me go back to my other route. I signed the username. And the username should have... That data should be in there. Let me think about this. JWT sign, username, secret. I think this needs to be asynchronous, so just to be sure. Async. Await. See if this makes a difference. And then I will await the res.json just in case. I'm just curious. This will make a difference, which means I have to go all the way back over here and do this again. Let me see here. Does it let me go back? Nah. History. Here we go. Let's do this one again. Good. Thank you. Does it have my body and everything? Yep. So let's hit send. Okay. Let's copy that to over here. And let's see what we get back. No token. And then maybe it's where I verify. Well, let's do this just to check to see if this is working. So what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly console.log JWT.verify the token, the secret. Okay, let's see what happens. I think I know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm just going to test out this one last thing. Okay, now let's go back over here to take a look at what got console logged. Oh no, the right thing got console logged, so that's what should happen. So that token works. Back over here, token. Let's console log the result. Back over here. Send. And let's go back over here, see if there's a console log. Console.log result. Now that's interesting because it never even did this console log. I mean, that's from before. Even though I did hit the route. And it did seem to give me... Oh wait, no, it says no token. So we're hitting here. So that means the authorization header is not there. Ah, okay. So that's a different story. So let me console log authorization. Console.log authorization. Okay. Go back to my requests. Oh, it's because I didn't turn this back on. This is why. Okay. I didn't put the thingy back on. There you go, and then yeah, it's gonna be back to data. So everything was fine. It's just the unchecked box. I wasn't sending the token back. Okay, cool. So let me clean that up a little bit. Get rid of these console logs. And did I still have a console log over here? No, I think we're good. Okay, so in that case, we've created our API. Okay, so we created an API just to kind of demonstrate the purpose of this. And essentially what you would do is you would just put this auth function in front of all your protected routes. So any route that someone who's logged in should only, or you should only be able to access when you're logged in, would have this function in front of it. And so essentially that's how you would protect the data. And again, they would first have to go over here, get their token, And once they have their token, they can start making the calls to all these other routes because they have this auth function built in. Okay, in the next video, we'll build a mini front end. Well, actually, I can just do it from here. So we will create a static folder. Let me think about how I want to do this. Now here's what we will do. We are going to serve it on a different port. We're going to use the live server that's built into, so we're just not going to build out a whole front end, just going to build out some scripts. But we do need a front end. So what we need to do is make sure that we don't run into any cores issues. So we need to install cores, npm i cores. So we'll just download that. So I'll give that a second to install. And then we're going to add that to our middleware. So this way we can accept calls from anywhere. So in our middleware, we do, let me just put that first, app.use cores. Okay, and that way it sends all the right cores headers. I do need to make sure that I add cores up here to our dependencies. Const cores equals require cores. Okay, so in that case, I think we can do the front end piece in this video. Let's be done with it. Okay. So let's see here. Let's create a little front end. So let's close out our backend folder and create a new folder called front end. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. So in this folder, we'll just create a new file, index.html. Okay, and in that file, we will create just some boilerplate HTML. A boilerplate HTML. Okay, and we're just going to create 2 buttons. This will be the login button. Let's make this real simple. And this will be the test button. So once we're logged in, we can test it out. Okay, and then actually we'll create one more button, logout. Okay, cool. I'm going to create functions for each of these buttons. So we need to create a new file, app.js. Okay, and then we need to put a script tag to that file, script. This is going to be app.js. Let's make sure we defer it. No, I don't think that will be necessarily necessary for the code we're going to be doing. Okay, so first we're going to create a couple different functions. Const login equals, and then we're going to make these async functions. Async and this first function is just going to basically go get the key, get the token. So what I am going to do is create a variable called token in the global space that we can then later on store the token in. Okie dokie. And so first what we're going to do is const. Actually, we're going to do const response equals fetch. And then with fetch, you have to first put in the URL. So that's going to be localhost HTTP to localhost 4000/login is the URL. Then we're going to pass in an object, and the object is going to have a method. So we're making a post request, and it doesn't have to have headers for this one. It does have to have a body. Okay, so we're going to do JSON.stringify. And you could, again, the idea here is you would get this data from a form and then do this. So we're going to pretend that, hey, this form, we passed in this we got this data from this form where the username is Alex Merced and the password is password. Okay, so we pass that in, we stringify it because that's how you do it. We do need headers actually. So we got to pass in a headers object, headers, and that's going to be content type. Application JSON. That way the JSON parser middleware parses our body. And I think that should be it. Okay, and we're using async await. So I need to add the await keyword here. That will just basically say that when this promise resolves, then store the data in response. Don't do it right away. Don't do it while the promise is unresolved. That's the beauty of async await. It basically says, wait till this line's done. Okay, now that we have the response, we just need to turn the response. We need to parse the response. So const the token should be what we get back from that. So const token equals response.json. Okay, and that should get an await as well. At that point, I'm going to want to console log the token so we can see that we got it. And then I want to store it in local storage. Oh, actually I want to assign it to token. Oh, that's right. So we just call this should call this new token because we already have a variable named token. I'll just say token equals new token. And then let's also store in local storage. So window dot local storage dot get a set item because we want to set it, and then say, hey, we want to create a key called token, and inside that token will be this token, but as a string. So we have to stringify it. JSON.stringify token. Okie dokie. And we want to make it where if that token's already in local storage, that we don't need to actually go make this API call again. So here's what we'll do. We'll do if window dot local storage dot get item token. So technically that's not null or undefined, then we have a token. So then I'll wrap all this. That will get an if, and then the else is what I'll wrap everything else in, because that's going to happen if there's no token. Then it'll go out and get a new token. So this happens else. Oops. Highlight this. There we go. And let me save that, just let prettier clean it up. Okay. So now what happens in the if scenario? If window.localstorage.getItem does find the token, then what we're going to do is do this: a const or token equals JSON.parse. We have to parse the string into an object. Window.localstorage.getItem token. Cool. So essentially what this is doing is first it's checking to see if the token already exists in local storage. If it does, then it gets the token from there. If it doesn't, it makes the API called the getAToken and then stores it in local storage, so that way I don't have to be, just so that way it's there, and making sure that it's in the variable token because that's the variable we'll be using going forward. So save. So there's our login function, and we'll log in. So we have to add that to our index.html. So the first button is going to have an on click equals login, save. And now you actually just serve this using live server. So open with live server. So it's on port 5500. It really doesn't matter because we are using cores. So all origins are cool. So that's opening up. So let's try the login button. I click it, nothing's really going to happen. But we can see if it actually did its thing by looking at our local storage. So we can go to application, in the inspector, go to local storage, and there's no key, which means it didn't do what it was supposed to do. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's go back. Let's take a look at our function. And I'm going to put a few console logs. Console log start, so we know where the function started. Here we're going to do console log token exists, so that means the token already, it checked and the token already exists in local storage. And then else, we'll do another console log here. Console.log no token. And then it'll do all this stuff. Okay, so let's see here, that's going to be refreshing. Let's see here, let's hit the login button. Let's see if the function actually ran. Start, no token. Error and promise it failed to fetch. So the issue is the request. So let's go take a look at our requests. Well, just in case, let's make this uppercase post. So it's a post request, HTTP localhost 4000 login. Is our server still running? Oh, well, that would do it. Our server is not running at the moment. So npm or node server.js. Make sure our server is running and we should be good. Okay, it looks like that's good. Let's try this again. Refresh. And then I'm going to hit login. And there, so we got the token. And let's take a look at our, and there it is in local storage. The token's stored in local storage. Nice. So now if I hit refresh, and I click login button, and see, this time the token exists, so it's grabbing it from local storage. It's not making the API call again because it already has it. Cool. So now let's do our second function. Okay, so let's do a login test function. Const test equals, and essentially all we want to do is just console log the payload. So we're just going to, again, make this an async function. So const response equals await fetch. And in this case, the URL is http://www.localhost 4000/test. And then we have to pass in the object. So the method in this case is a get request. It is a get request. We don't need to send a body, but we do need to send headers. Okay. And in this case, the header should be authorization. And then this will use backticks. Should be bearer space and then the token. Okay. Head method headers. We're not sending any body. We're not. Let me just go back and compare. Yeah, no, I think we're good. and that would be the response. So then const, we get we'll say the result equals the response.json. So we parse the result. Okay, and then we will console.log the result. And I'm going to await this as well. Okay. So that file is saved. The index.html is going to on click equal test. Okay. And let's test that out. Okay, now if I click the test button before I click the login button, I don't have the token saved in that token variable yet, so watch what happens. See? JWT malformed, right? There was no token there. But now let's say I click login first. So I got the token. Now hit test button. And now I get the information I expected because it got authorized. Okie dokie. Nice. Okay, so it works. Now we just need to create a logout button. And this would just be a function. Const logout. And for this one, you don't really need to make it async because you're not going to do anything asynchronous. To log out, you just need to get rid of the token. Okay, so basically all you're going to do is basically make the token blank again. Okay. And then you're going to do window.get or window.local storage dot remove item, and you'll remove token. So that way it's not there in local storage anymore. So then you won't be able to access all those authorized routes anymore because you don't have the token. And then that's that. Now if this is React, then you'd also have changes to your view, but now I should be good. So now let's see here. I log in. So say I got the token. Token already existed. I test. I get the payload. I hit log out. I didn't put any console logs. But let's see here. If I hit the test button now, I should get JWT malformed. Wait, did I add I don't think I added the button. Yeah. On click equals log out. Save. And let's just add a little console log just to show that we got logged out. Console.log logged out. Save. And let's test that one more time. I log in. The token already existed, so I grabbed it from local storage. Test button. Button works. I log out. Apparently I'm logged out. I hit the test button again. Oh, looks like it doesn't work anymore so I can then log back in. So that's essentially it. That's all it is. You would just create all the routes, access any data you want, and you would just make these different API fetch requests. These get and post requests depending on what you're doing. But you just, anytime it's an authorized route, you just have to make sure that you put the header authorization, this particular header, in your headers object. That's it. So hopefully this gave you a better idea of how to do authorization with JWT. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.